Okay, good morning, everybody. One of my favorites. Okay, I have to be honest over here, tell the truth. I'm skipping a teeny bit. Actually, it's ironic that I say that I'm skipping a paragraph on page 217, Nikias as it relates to oaths, oaths. So we're going to skip that just because oaths are a very technical thing, and it's not something that I think really relates to us so much. But I recommend go ahead and read the page and a half or the page 217 on your own, just so you can see what it says over there. But I want to skip to 218, where we talk about Nikius from falsehood. Okay, so Nikius, we know Nikius means being very, very, very careful and precise in our observance of the mitzvos. I was talking to somebody the other day. Who was it? Don't remember. But we were talking about how the details really matter. The details really make a difference when it comes to halacha, when it comes to Jewish law. And even though, like, one might tend to think, I did it pretty well. I'm not, no one, I'm telling you now, this is David speaking. I'm personally not a perfectionist, and I'm happy I'm not a perfectionist. I don't believe that perfectionism is a necessarily a positive trait, because it gets in the way. What's that famous line? The enemy of good is perfect, or something like that. I forget what it is, but but when it comes to halacha and our commitment to Jewish law, the details, the precision does really matter. And that's what Nikias is all about. It's about taking it to the next level, where we say we're no longer satisfied or are content with doing our mitzvos good. We want to do our mitzvos great. Okay. So how do we apply that to the area of false, or what we would say sheker? Sheker is something that we all have to be aware of and try to avoid, and he's going to break it down for us. So let's see. Now, false speech is also a terrible ailment that is very widespread among people. Okay.
Good enough.
It's not so easy to be perfectly honest all the time. It's not so easy at all. Sometimes it's very difficult, and therefore it's very widespread. This issue is very widespread, and because it's very widespread, the Ramchal chooses to address it, because, as he pointed out earlier in this section, he's focusing on the challenges that are common among all of us. So there are many degrees of speaking falsehood. There are people whose very profession is speaking falsehood. Okay. I don't want to call anybody out, and I don't want to get in any trouble, but there are professions that lend themselves to falsehood more than others. Now, in each of those professions, you have exemplary individuals.
Go straight down.
Who, despite the tendency or the temptation for falsehood in that profession, nonetheless manage to maintain a sterling level of honesty. But there are certain professions where falsehood becomes very difficult to avoid. Anyone want to give an example of a profession that might be particularly difficult to maintain the highest level of avoiding falsehood?
Attorneys.
I knew someone was going to say that, and the survey says 100. Ding, 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 ding. Okay.
How about president?
President is another one, or for that matter, take it a little bit broader, politicians, right?
Salesmen.
The only difference, before we get to salesmen, the only difference between politicians and everybody else is that with a politician, nobody expects there to be any level of truth when it comes
David,
to
salesman? Can you hear
salesmen.
us?
Absolutely, yeah, because salesmen, they might not lie straight out,
Yeah,
but as we'll see soon, falsehood is a lot
Yes.
more subtle than lying, right? Falsehood is going to involve all sorts of subtle behaviors or indications that can indicate falsehood. That's another excellent one.
Forget it. I don't know. Gotti, I'll ask Gotti.
Okay. Fine. So let's see. So there are people whose very profession is speaking falsehood. They constantly concoct total fabrications from their imagination. Okay, right now we're talking about what you could call pathological liars. Okay, that's not our concern. I know every person on this call. I know none of you are pathological liars. Okay, but there are some people that just lie. That's what they do, simply in order to generate. Every word is picked up very loud on the speaker, so we have to. They constantly concoct fabrications in their imagination simply in order to generate conversation among people, or so that they will be considered among the wise and as knowledgeable about many things. Right? People lie about what they know. Okay, tour guides are the best at this. You just make stuff up. When you don't know what something is, you just make it up. This is a Byzantine column. This is a Roman column. This is a Mamluk arch. This is a Arabic arch. This is an Ottoman. Nobody knows. No one will ever look it up. No one will ever call you out on it. They make stuff up all the time. Okay. In fact, that's one of the things that we're learning in our ethics classes when it comes to tour guiding, is they're encouraging us and pressing us. If you don't know, just say you don't know. It's okay. But people, especially tour guides, don't like to say they don't know, so they make stuff up. About such people, it is said, false lips are an abomination to Hashem. Okay, Hashem really doesn't like that. And it says, your iniquities have separated between you and your God. Your lips speak falsehood, your tongues utter wickedness. Indeed, the sages of blessed memory have declared 4 classes of sinners do not receive the divine presence. And one of them is shakronim, liars. Okay, but right now we're still talking about the flat outright liars, big fat liars, as we used to call them as kids. Okay, that's that. But that, I would say, unless you have a problem, unless you have some kind of emotional or psychological problem with telling the truth, which there is such a thing. I can give you my wife's number. If you have such problems, you can schedule an appointment with her. But unless you have such a problem, generally speaking, normal, healthy people are not big fat liars. That's not our issue. That's not our problem. But it doesn't end there, because Nikias always takes it to the next level, stepping it up to the more subtle level. There are others who are close to the level of falsehood of the first group, although they are not completely like them. These are the ones who fabricate details in their stories and conversations. That is, it's not their actual profession, quote unquote, to go around concocting stories and happenings that never occurred and never will. However, when they come to recount some matter, they intersperse among their words whatever falsehoods enter their mind, and they accustom themselves to this practice until it becomes second nature to them. Okay, this is huge. Okay, this is huge. My kids call me out on this all the time. Okay, obviously, as a rabbi, I'm sure I told you this once, before I went out to leave Israel and come to America to teach and to give classes and to educate Jews, I had a meeting with a prominent Rosh HaYeshiva at the time, who's sadly no longer alive, not Rabbi Noah Weinberg, a different rabbi. Rabbi Mendel Weinbach was his name. And he told me, he said, I'm going to give you the formula right now for a perfect class. Okay. He said, and I don't remember, I'm making up the ratios. I don't remember exactly, but he said something like, 45% inspiration, 45% entertainment, and 10% information. Okay. And I've tried to stick to that ratio more or less. You want to inspire people, you want to entertain people, and you, in the process, you drop in a little bit of information. That's the best class, right? We all know that. So as a rabbi, part of your job is entertainment, a big part of your job, and inspiration. So to that aim, a lot of times when you tell a story, sometimes, you change some of the details of the story just a little bit to make it either more entertaining or more inspiring or both. Okay. But that's a little bit problematic. And whenever I do that, my kids always call me out on it, like right in front of everybody. But that's not what happened. Okay. Thanks, Yo-Yo. Appreciate that. But that's what happens all the time, right? They call you out on it. And the truth is, it's a fine line, because on one hand, I don't intend any malice, and it's not about, me looking smart or knowing something. It's about trying to touch somebody's heart and move them in a meaningful way. And sometimes you feel that you have a little bit of a license, that you've earned, that you deserve a little bit of a license to change some slight details in the story in order to make it just a little bit more inspiring, to make the story fit just a little bit better. The guy was putting on his tefillin in Auschwitz, and the real story was no one ever saw him, but you add a little, and the Nazi guard caught him and beat him, and he still put it on the next day anyway. Okay, so that part never happened, but it makes a better story, and it's certainly more inspiring, and it's going to move somebody, to want to, fulfill the mitzvahs perhaps more. So it's a tough call. But what the Ramchal is saying over here is no sheker, emes, tell the truth all the time. Even if the story is a little bit less entertaining or a little bit less inspiring, don't veer from the truth, because when you do, it becomes second nature, and that becomes ingrained in you, and that becomes who you are.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
Boker Tov. I just want to say, as you talk about lying, first of all, the news media, I think, are the biggest liars. And also, I remember as a child in Israel being on a bus, and there was a lady talking about Zamość, which was my mother's town from Poland. And the woman was saying how rich they were and blah, 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 blah. So we get off the bus, and I said to my mother, how come you didn't say anything? And she says, because nobody in Zamość was rich, and I didn't want to put her on the spot. So that taught me a real good lesson. Mm-hmm. So.
Yep. Beautiful. Yep.
So, Rabbi, aren't there times when shading the truth, shall we say, is permissible, like for shalom bias?
Yes. And we'll get there. We'll talk about that. Ben's making a very good point. Sometimes it is actually the right thing to do and the appropriate thing to do to I like the way you said that, shade the truth a little bit. And it could be, by the way, that the example that I gave, that in a harmless way, changing some of the details of a story to make it a little bit more inspiring or moving or entertaining even, could be a valid reason maybe to shade the truth slightly. But we'll see. We'll talk about those exceptions. Okay, these are the sort of liars who it is impossible to believe, since one cannot distinguish between the truth and falsehood they contain. Meaning, it's really hard sometimes to fully, you know them, they're embellishing or adding details to the story, or making things up, for whatever reason, either to look smart or to be funny or to be inspiring, whatever. So this is also a problem. and this is reflected in the statement of the sages of blessed memory, this is the punishment of a liar, that even when he speaks the truth, people do not listen to him. Okay, so we know that. That's the little boy who cried wolf phenomenon. If you're constantly exaggerating or embellishing, making things up, then you lose credibility. And even when you are saying important things that are true, people are going to doubt the veracity of your comments. These people suffer this fate because they have already ingrained this evil practice within themselves, to the point that their words cannot leave their mouths free of falsehood. This is what the prophet Yirmiyahu, that's Jeremiah, agonized about and stated: they train their tongue to speak falsehood as if striving to be crooked. Meaning they train their tongues by doing this. When you keep doing this, when you do this enough, it becomes too easy. It becomes too simple for you to change the truth, to lie, to stretch the truth, to omit. Okay, so it can become so natural and such a habit that it really diminishes your credibility in people's eyes. Okay. Now, the third type of liar. There are yet others whose affliction with speaking falsehood is milder than the affliction of the first groups, though they are still not free of it. This might be the most perfect example of how Nikias works in the book, right? More granular, more granular, more granular, more granular. Sifted again, sifted again, sifted again. You have big fat liars. Okay, no one's going to be a big fat liar. But then you have people who are constantly mixing in falsehood into their truth. Okay, that's the next level. That's also, you want to go past that. Then there's a third level, which is milder, but it's still there. There's still something there. And the Ramchal is encouraging us to purge even this more subtle level of falsehood. There are ones who are not so greatly mired in falsehood as to speak it constantly, but nevertheless do not care to distance themselves from it. And if a reason to say a falsehood presents itself to him, they will say it. Also, many times they will say a falsehood in jest or for a similar reason without malicious intent. Okay, so he's saying that the next level, which we also want to avoid, is, generally speaking, I tell the truth. Tell the truth. I don't lie. I'm not a big fat liar. I don't add falsehood into a little bit of falsehood into everything I say. But you know what? If there's a need, if it's to my benefit somehow, if I don't want to tell the truth because it's embarrassing, or I don't want to tell the truth because if somebody knew the truth, this particular detail, they would think differently about me, or whatever it is, whatever the reason might be. If there's a need, a compelling reason to change the truth. I was late for class, if I'm late, I'm going to get marked down in my course. So, okay, there was a bus accident, or there was a demonstration, or something happened that prevented me from, getting to the class on time. Okay, I generally tell the truth, but if there's a real need, it's not an impossibility that I'll make up a lie, when I have to. Okay, so that's the third level. Now, while the first of the two groups is self-evident, the big fat liar and the person who's constantly mixing in falsehood to his words and comments, the practice of the last group might seem innocuous. Okay, you might say, okay, draw the line. Number one, big fat liar, I'm not going to be. Even number two liar, I can work on that. But to never, ever say a falsehood when I need it, when it's to my benefit, that's way too much. That's way too, and it's such a little thing. So chill out. Okay, so Ramchal comments and continues. However, the wise one, that's always referring to King Solomon, informed us that all of this is the opposite of the will of the Creator, blessed be He, and that the trait of the pious and the trait of the pious ones, that is what is written by Shlomo, King Solomon, in Proverbs. A righteous person despises a false word. Devar sheker yisna tzadik. He can't stand it. It makes him sick. It makes him sick to his stomach, the thought of a false word, right? And about this comes the Torah's admonition, midvar sheker tirchak. 3 very, very famous words in the Torah. I want to discuss this now in a minute, but let's just translate them literally. Literally, what they mean is distance yourself from a matter of falsehood. Midvar sheker, from a matter of falsehood, distance yourself. That's how the Torah says, that's how the Torah tells us not to lie. Okay, now let's pause here for a second. What would have been the easier way for the Torah to say, thou shalt not lie?
Always tell the truth.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you want to create a prohibition, a negative commandment.
Under no circumstances.
Well, I mean, what's an easier way of, from a matter of falsehood, you shall distance yourself. Speak English. The Torah should have said what?
Under no circumstances.
Just don't lie. Thou shalt not lie, right? Al tishaker. The Torah says, al tirtzach, don't murder. Al lotinov, don't steal, don't commit adultery. Lo sigzol, don't steal. So say lo tishaker, don't lie. Why does the Torah not say don't lie? What are some possible reasons? We'll see in a minute. Don't read on. What do you think would be the reason? The Torah, Hashem is very precise in his wording. He knows how to say, thou shalt not X. Why do you think it is when it came to falsehood, he did not use the formula of thou shalt not, but instead said, from a matter of falsehood, thou shalt distance themselves. One should distance themselves. Why?
There's white lies and there's other regular lies. And it's just a little clearer definition.
Okay.
It includes more than
because there are things that are deceptive or false or convey falsehood without being an outright lie. For example, omission. Leaving something out is not a lie, but it is a matter of falsehood. It can be. Right? If you leave out an important detail or piece of information, that can definitely be a devar sheker, a matter of falsehood, but it might not be a lie. Okay, what's another reason? Good.
Not to hurt someone's feelings. If you don't tell them the truth because you don't want to hurt their feelings, depending on, of course, what you're saying.
Okay, good. So I think perhaps another way of saying that, Jeffrey, is that if the Torah had said don't lie, then my hands would be tied. I'd have to always tell the truth in every situation, even, for example, if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings, or even, for example, if it was going to be detrimental to someone's shalom bias, or even if, for example, it could harm somebody. Like, let's say somebody's running into your house and there's a guy on the street who's trying to kill him, and he runs into your house and he hides in your closet, and he says, and the guy runs in afterwards, where is Ruvain? And you say, well, the Torah says I can't lie. I have to tell him the truth. He's in the closet. Did you do the right thing? Of course you didn't do the right thing. So by saying devar sheker tirchak, instead of saying don't lie, because there are times, this is what Ben was alluding to before, where lying is not only okay, but it's required and it's the right thing to do. So 1 second, Julian. So it works both ways. By wording it in this way, instead of saying don't lie, by saying from a matter of distance yourself from a matter of falsehood, on one hand, it tells me there are matters of falsehood that I have to be distant from that are not outright lies. And on the other hand, it tells me there are times when lying is okay and correct. Okay, Julian.
How does exaggeration fit into this?
So exaggeration is a form of falsehood.
Yeah.
Right? So the question becomes, what's the motivation? But generally speaking, what the Ramchal is encouraging us here to do is to get to the level where we don't exaggerate in our words either. But there might be times when it's justifiable, right? Let's say you're trying to make somebody good. There's a great example. The Talmud says, the Talmud asks an interesting question. The Talmud, very real document that deals with real life and sometimes awkward situations. What are you supposed to say to your friend who's engaged and his bride or her groom, whichever one you're friends with, the one that they're engaged to may not be the most attractive looking individual of all times. So the Talmud says that you're supposed to say kala na v'chasuda. You're supposed to compliment the looks of the future spouse, regardless, right? What a beautiful bride, or what a handsome groom, because you're doing it to build up somebody's, happiness and joy, and to make them feel good, and to make them feel good about the decision that they made. So there are times when that's absolutely appropriate, but generally speaking, it's not encouraged. So let's finish what he says in this paragraph. So about this comes the Torah's admonition: distance yourself from a matter of falsehood. You should observe that the Torah did not say, beware of falsehood, right? Don't lie. Rather, distance yourself from a false word, to arouse us about the tremendous distance and the intense flight one must flee from this sin. Ramchal is saying something different than I said. Like there's another example of this in the Torah. It doesn't say don't reveal the nakedness of somebody who's prohibited to you. Let's say a relative or a married person or whatever. It doesn't say that. It says lo sikravu legalos erva. Stay far, far away. Don't even approach. Don't even come close to revealing the nakedness of somebody who's prohibited to you. Because in that situation of sexual immorality, the Torah wants us to stay far away from it. Keep a huge distance between you and that inappropriate act. So the same thing is true when it comes to lying. The Ramchal is pointing out over here. It says, "Divar sheker." When it comes to a matter of falsehood, tirchak, stay far away. Don't just not do it. Stay far away from it. Build a fence and a wall and a no man's land. Whatever you need to do to keep far away from falsehood. That's how problematic it is, and that's how important it is to avoid. Okay, questions or thoughts on that so far? Okay, well, let's
Rabbi,
continue.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with the topic. What if you're in a group of people and there's somebody that lies, okay? And you know that person is lying for whatever reason, okay? Is it okay to call them on it, or is it better to keep your mouth shut because you don't want to embarrass them?
So in that situation, the best thing to do is, well, first of all, if you're gonna speak to that person, you would need to do it privately. That's number one. That's very important. It's very important to do that privately. But also, there's several questions that you have to ask yourself. Is the nature of your relationship such that the person would listen to what you have to say? Are they likely to take it to heart and consider it and maybe make changes in their behavior because of it? So there's a lot of factors involved, but for sure, calling them out on it publicly would not be the way to go, because that's going to cause unnecessary
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Fine. Now Ramchal discusses the great value of truthfulness. So he's going to go a little bit deeper into this. It was stated already in scripture, Zephaniah, the remnant of Israel will not commit corruption, they will not speak falsehood, and a deceitful tongue will not be found in their mouths. What is the remnant of Israel? What does that mean, the remnant of Israel? What does that mean? She'eris Israel, the remnant of Israel.
People in the diaspora.
Okay. I'm just looking it up. I think it means yeah, this verse describes the defining characteristics of the remnant of Israel in exile. Good. It means the ones that make it to the end of the exile. It means that when the ones that are still standing when the final redemption comes. Okay, good. So among these people, the ones that have stuck it out, so to speak, you will not find any among them that speak falsehood or have a deceitful tongue. Okay, because that is one of the defining characteristics of who's able to make it to the finish line. And the sages of blessed memory said, the signet ring is like the stamp, the seal of the Holy One, blessed be he, is truth. Now, surely if truth is what the Holy One, blessed be he, chose as his signet, imagine how abominable it is, its opposite must be to him. Okay, Hashem is all about emes. Furthermore, the Holy One, blessed be he, admonished strongly, repeatedly about the speaking the truth, saying, this is the prophet Zechariah, there are two things that you should do: speak the truth with one another. And these are things that you should do: speak the truth with one another. Okay, that's just be truthful, emes. And elsewhere in Isaiah, the throne of the Messiah will be established by the virtue of kindness, and he will sit upon it by virtue of truthfulness. Okay, so again and again, we see this idea that it's sort of like the last man standing, the final stage in human history is the ones who are present to enjoy that final moment of Mashiach are the ones who have worked very hard on this midah of emes. For he said, indeed, are my people, my children who do not speak falsely. Children who do not speak falsely. From which you see this, being Hashem's people is contingent on not speaking falsely. And it says elsewhere, Jerusalem will be called the city of truth. Ir ha'emes. This description being used in order to increase its prominence. Okay, that's so interesting. Yerushalayim is referred to as Ir ha'emes, city of truth. Okay, see if we can finish to the next section. The extent of the obligation to be truthful. The sages of the blessed memory have already said the following: Dover emes bilvavo, regarding the verse in Tehillim, that there's a verse that says, one who speaks truth in his heart. It tells a story, a very, very famous story of Rav Safra, who honored a mental commitment that he had not verbalized. And this, okay, well, basically the story was here, it's written down here on note number 89. The story of Rav Safra is mentioned, but not spelled out in our editions of the Gemara. Its details are provided by the She'oltos, the Rav Chai, and by the Rivan. Here it is. Rav Safra had a donkey for sale and was approached by a potential buyer who made an offer. The man comes up to Rav Safra. He wants to buy the donkey. The rabbi did not respond because he was saying the Shema. He was in the middle of davening. He couldn't answer the guy. Okay. So the buyer interpreted Rav Safra's silence as a bargaining technique. Okay. Oh, Rav Safra, he's bargaining with me. So he kept upping the price, and Rav Safra is still silent. He's upping the price, Rav Safra is silent. Not because he's bargaining, because he's saying the Shema. When Rav Safra finished reciting his recitation of the Shema, he insisted on selling the donkey for the original offer because he had already decided in his mind to accept that offer, although he had not been able to say so at the time. Okay, that's called emes. That's exemplar because, he was being silent and the guy kept upping his price. So he could have said, okay, but he didn't. He sold it for the original price because in his mind, that's what he had decided. Great famous story. Okay. And in fact, the sages explicitly prohibited a Torah scholar from speaking misleadingly, except regarding 3 matters. Okay, we don't need to go into that right now, but he's allowed to lie about how much Torah he's learned. He's allowed to lie about whether, what kind of hospitality he received because people might, take advantage. He's also allowed to lie about his marital relations. Okay, fine. But otherwise, a Talmid Chacham should never lie. Additional sources about the importance of truthfulness. The sages have taught that one of the pillars on which the world stands is emes. It's one of the pillars upon which the world stands. If so, it follows that one who speaks falsehood is considered as if he removes a foundation from the world. And the opposite is also true. One who's meticulous about truthfulness is considered as if he sustained a foundation of the world. Indeed, the sages of blessed memory reported about the place called Truth, whose inhabitants were so meticulous about truthfulness that as a result, the angel of death had no dominion there. Okay, there was a place where the Malach HaMavis couldn't go because people were so careful with truthfulness. And because the wife of Rabbi so-and-so, a resident of the city, once spoke untruthfully, albeit she meant well, she incited the angel of death against them, and some people began to die young until they expelled her from the city as a result of this. And then they returned to their peaceful state. Okay, there's no need to expound at any greater length about the matter of being scrupulously truthful, for the intellect obligates it, and logic dictates it. Okay. Any thoughts, questions, or comments about the concept of Nikias as it applies to falsehood?
Just, I guess I maybe knew the details of this before reading it. But when I was a headhunter, I would always tell people I was working with, if someone makes an offer to you and in your mind it's what you were thinking, accept it on the spot. Don't try to get more because you'll get it down the road. And it worked. I mean, it was just tell the truth and be honest.
Okay, that's good. That's a good example.
I just figured it was quiet. I figured I'd fill the void.
You always do a good job with that. That's
Thanks.
amazing. Okay, fine. So just one last reminder. We're not even at 50% yet, and we have less than 12 hours to go in our campaign. So just encouraging everybody to give as generously as you can, and also to try to reach out. Think of somebody you can reach out to. I know it's never comfortable to ask somebody for money, but just think of one person that you could call that could give $1,000 just like that. Call that person. Do it for me. All right.
David,
Yes.
David, it's Doris. Hi.
Hi, Doris.
Are you able to stay on with me for a minute? I'm actually having trouble online making the donation, and I forwarded it to someone who also is. So I have a
Okay.
couple questions for you.
Sure,
I'd
sure.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm here. Okay. All right. So everybody can jump off and then
Thank you.
Ag Sameach.
Thank you,
Hag
Rabbi.
Sameach, everybody. Have a wonderful Yontif.
Thank you, Sameach.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Rabbi.
Great
Thank
donation
you.
so far. We so appreciate it.
Yes.
Ben
Absolutely.
Isaacson, Les Lawrence, Larry Faderman.
Everybody. Kathy.
Hannah, I
everyone.
haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
Hannah,
You
let's
haven't
get
seen me? You haven't seen me because you didn't visit me in Arizona. I actually moved to Arizona full time.
Oh my
So I'm
God.
not in, well, a lot of reasons. I just felt that Scottsdale was a much better fit. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm very happy here.
Good, good.
But it was a very good session, and Bezrat Hashem, we'll see each other soon. And I did
Amen.
send my donation, so,
Thank you. Thank you.
and I hope everybody else does too.
Thanks. Chaim.
And Bezrat Hashem, everything will be great for everybody. And yeah, I guess Chicago, to be truthful, was just, it was wonderful to live there for many, many years, but it was time to move on. So, but you guys can keep in touch.
Of course we will. Of course we will.
Chag Sameach.
Okay. Chag Sameach. Thanks you. Thanks everybody. 1 second. Okay. Hi, Doris.
Hi, okay, I'm sorry. This is the first
problem.
hour I've had to sit down and I have a few people I can also think of. But,
Amazing.
okay, so I went in through the email that was sent and the page comes up that says cause match,
Yep.
my L'chaim. Then it says 10 hours left.
Yep.
And then there's a big, it
Donate
says,
now.
yeah, it says USD enter amount.
Okay, wait 1 second. Let me get to that same page with you while you're.
Okay, it's a big rectangular box, long rectangle box.
1 second. No, so you know what? So click on, don't, instead of doing that. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if I put my cursor at USD $,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's try it. Okay.
I cannot put an amount in there.
It's all the way to the right. There should be.
Oh, wait, hold on okay, I'm sorry. I didn't even see that. So first I have to go to the yellow box that says donate now.
No, I think if you, for me,
Oh, wait, it did just, wait, hold on. I think
where
you
it says
just,
enter amount, there should be on the, in that rectangular box, there should be a blinking cursor. Like if you click on the
no,
box,
nothing.
click on the box, click inside the box.
Wait 1 second. Let me just see if I'm in a place now. Mm,
Are you using
No.
your phone, by the way, or
no, I'm on my laptop and I've got you on the phone.
so if
Wow.
you-
Let me go back. I'm sorry, David. It shouldn't be this difficult for me. Let me see. Okay,
Wait,
so I went
so-
back to the original email. Big
Okay.
red box says donate now.
Yeah. And then it takes you
Okay.
to and then it takes you to the page, right?
Oh, well, let's see. Okay, so it took me, yeah, to my L'chaim, the cause
Okay,
me.
and then there's a enter amount. There's that square box, that's rectangular
Yes.
USD. So just put your cursor like right in the middle there, right? So that you're hovering like right in that box. And then just
The
left click. And then just click.
left click.
Just click the way you would normally click, you know.
Yep, nothing is happening. When I put my cursor anywhere in that rectangle box, the cursor disappears and turns into just a vertical line.
That's so weird. Okay, how about this? Let's do it. I'll do it right now with you. I'll do it from my end. Do you want me to do that?
Oh, yeah, if you could do it for me,
Yeah,
but I'm
sure.
worried that okay, so then my next question is, if I forward this email, which I'm going to do now,
Yeah,
it says donations will be double till tomorrow night. So that's not accurate anymore. I need like a more current
right.
email
Right.
to send out, right? That says donations will be doubled until
It's okay.
tonight.
Don't worry. I mean, you can change that. I mean, if you're sending out as an email, you can, or I'll send you a new one. I'll send you a new one.
If you do, that'd be
You know what?
great.
Actually, I tell you what, in about, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, another email is going to go out that says we're 50% there.
Great.
Use
So I can
that
wait for
email.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But as far as me doing this now,
Let's do it right
David,
now. Tell me the amount that you want to put
okay.
in there.
Okay, I'm sorry to bother you with this. I
No, it's
do
fine.
no cause match all the time. I cannot
Yeah.
get on.
Sometimes, like, I don't know, sometimes things get glitchy, you know?
Okay, and then I even went to the yellow donate now box and that took me to a select payment. Let me see if
Okay.
I select credit card, if anything opens. Okay, actually, whatever you want, I'm happy to give it to you, or you want me to
Yeah.
just complete it here? What's
Or
easier?
can you complete it there? Do you have, is it working for you?
Well, it just took my amount.
Okay,
Um,
yeah. Go ahead
okay.
and try it there. And if you have a problem, just
If
WhatsApp
I
me.
have
I'll
a
put it in.
problem, can I WhatsApp you back?
Yes, perfectly, perfect.
Okay, it looks like it's taking it. So
Okay.
I will do this when I get your next email. I'll hang around and I'll send it out to a few I can think of.
Okay,
And
amazing. It could be that
okay,
some of the people, it could be that some of the people that you send it to have given already, so that's fine, you know.
okay, then they'll just ignore it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and I
Okay.
will do that. I think you talked me, think you talked me through it. And I
Okay.
just wanted to say something quickly when you were talking all about your class and lying.
Yeah.
This is a complex one, but my parents and many, many other Holocaust survivors had to lie so much to get the reparations. They had to lie every year on a continuous basis.
Oh, wow.
And so
Well, I
that's
mean,
kind of a thought-provoking situation when it comes to lying.
so when there's an exception, you're allowed to lie to Nazis, to Germans.
Okay, you just made that exception. Thank you.
Okay, but I'm just curious, what was the, like, how did it,
Okay,
what were the situations that they had to lie
okay.
about?
So, I guess I'm proud of my mother for sharing this, even though it was dishonest, because the reparations, which I never call reparations because that's not what it is. It was really returning some of their stolen assets. It
Right,
was their money. It's nothing that the government gave them.
right.
So, for example, when the program started in the 50s, it was very specific. If you had any physical damage, that was not accepted. It had to be some proof of more of a neurological damage.
Hmm.
And at the time, my mom used to have to go annually for an EEG, and she would keep like twitching to throw the results. And I would be right with her. And
Wow.
she did that on an annual basis because honestly, without that check from Germany, I don't think we would have had a roof over our heads. I mean, my father was very sick. My mother was trying to support a family of 4. And thank God that helped. But
Wow.
I was thinking a lot about that when you talked about the line, because they had to do it on an annual basis.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's
many
amazing.
did. And many did.
Right, right.
So, but again, they were only fighting to get back what was taken from them. It
Exactly.
it
And
was
you know
not
what?
a,
That is a big difference, and it's totally true. Like, if someone's screwing you out of something that's yours, you're allowed to lie.
to get it back.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, it was a really powerful class. Thank you. Made me
Okay, good.
think
Thank
about
you.
a lot of situations where people have maybe had to lie.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly. That's such a great example. That's an amazing example. I'm glad she did.
yeah,
I'm glad she did.
thank God.
Okay, fine. I'm running into a meeting, but I'll
Go ahead. Thank you
okay.
for
If you have any problem, let me
uh,
know. Let me text me if
thank
you
you
have a
for the
problem.
tutorial. I did
Okay.
it, and I'll shoot it out to a few more I can think of, and I know you'll reach the goal, but it's a
Amen.
nail biting situation until then.
I know it is.
Yeah.
It really is.
You will make it. You always do.
I don't know if we're gonna make it this year. That's the truth.
Well,
Okay.
but
Well,
if you
whatever.
don't make it, I
It's
mean, you
also
still
okay.
get you get the funds that you raised, right?
Of course,
Okay.
of course. We get it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Okay.
will. All
Okay.
right.
Thanks,
Thank
Joyce.
you.
Okay. Lots
Take
of love.
care.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.